Sausage.
Hello everyone, this is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Mark Kuznez, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about the Mean Green's Plastic Warfare, a third-person competitive shooter where you play as toy army men and battle across familiar environments like backyards, kitchen tables, and fish tanks. The Mean Green's Plastic Warfare originally came out on December 8, 2015 for PC and is also available on PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. I played it on Xbox One. And I know what you're thinking. What the hell is the Mean Green's Plastic Warfare? I've never heard of this game, and there's a good reason for that. The Mean Greens is a game of wasted potential. Not a lot of potential, mind you, but more than what the final product delivered. It makes a good first impression with better than expected art, full of fountains of color and fun level design, including a thematically appropriate tabletop board game, a working foosball table, and an elaborately designed space made from nothing but art supplies, but it squanders all its potential where it counts the most: gameplay. The Mean Greens is not fun to play, at least not against its wildly inconsistent AI that goes from perfectly accurate killing machines to dumb as rock idiot brigades. And the thing is, at least on Xbox, you don't have any choice but to play against the AI unless you somehow convince every single one of your friends to buy this game so you can play against each other, something I wouldn't advise doing if you want to keep said friends. So the AI it is, and boy is it not a good time. As a third-person shooter, the game plays poorly with the controller, and no fiddling with the settings will fix this. You're either too slow to do anything or so out of control that you'll be dead in seconds when the AI has you locked in their sights. This, again, would be fine if you were playing against other humans who also had to suffer with these controls, but when you're playing against the AI, it's immediately miserable, especially since, for whatever dumb fucking reason, when you start a match, you're thrown right into the middle of it as if it had already started 30 or so seconds before you got there, often leading to a death before you even know what's going on. Talk about a bad first impression. Well, I guess a bad second impression after the good first one that comes from the art and level design. There's not much more worth saying since you already know I think the game is bad and shouldn't be bothered with, but a few more puzzling decisions must be mentioned. Instead of creating matches in the usual way, picking a map, picking a mode, picking how many AI are in it, and so on, you instead get a grid of maps with modes tied to them. You will see the same map multiple times for different modes and whether or not bots can be used in them. So, for example, in the level select, instead of picking the kitchen and then a mode to play in it, you have the base kitchen run level, which can't be played with AI and involves pushing the other team's plastic cup off the counter, the team deathmatch kitchen run level, which can be played with bots and involves, well, you know what a team deathmatch is, and the free-for-all kitchen run level, which can also be played with bots. Why on earth does it work this way? I don't know. Don't ask me. I didn't design this game. On top of that weirdness, it's just a bit of a mess and cumbersome navigating the menus, like having to select the level you want and then scroll to the bottom so you can confirm your choice there. Why not just ask me if I'm sure I want to play on said level when I first select it? There are a lot of whys in the Mean Greens, like why do I constantly want to call it the Mean Greens and their fighting machines instead? The game has a fun vibe and could have been a fun time, but instead it just reminded me of the fun I had playing the Army Men games on PlayStation with my dad. And you know what? I might just go and dust off my copy for a trip down memory lane. But this trip down the Mean Greens lane has ended. Anyway, that will do it. That was terrible. That will do it for this year episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you'd like to see me streaming games like the Mean Greens and their fighting machines. I legit accidentally called it that. But if you'd like to see me streaming games like the Mean Greens and their, what are they called again? Plastic Warfare? The Mean Greens Plastic Warfare. I had to double check because I legit forgot the name of this game. But if you'd like to see me streaming games like this one, which I won't try to name again, or others, you can do so over at twitch.tv/PX Sausage. If you'd like to check out the videos I make, like the one for this here episode of Attack the Backlog, you can do that over at youtube.com/pixelated sausage. Speaking of pixelated sausage, put a .com after that. I don't know why I'm talking like a robot. Do army men talk like robots? But you can go to pixelatedsausage.com, which is my site, and there you'll be able to check out this podcast and the Pixelated Sausage Podcast, both of which are available on podcast services across the globe. You can also check out my art there, and if you see something you like, you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/pxs and support us that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.